Why do some young people take drugs while others don't? That depends on a whole host of factors, but mostly I think it has to do with their exposure to older people who are doing drugs around them. So for example, my brother, he's 7 years older and he was using drugs, so I was exposed to hash, when I was about 12 or 13 when he was using. So that is a risk factor for me to start using sooner in my life as well, because I remember I wanted to fit in, and when the day came when he offered me some, I was very willing to take it because I wanted him to accept me. That's the same thing can happen at like a house party full of young people. The younger ones, this is true peer pressure, because the younger ones just want to fit in, especially if there's girls around or boys around that they like. They want to fit in with everybody else, and so what not a better idea than to partake in what everybody else is doing, drug activities and drinking, so as a way of fitting in and to feel like they're older than they are. So there's definite social pressure there, peer pressure, to want to use. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is genetics. So some people are more prone to addiction than others, or substance misuse, simply because of their genes. And most physicians can tell this right away in somebody. For example, if it's the opioids, my own physician has told me recently that he can recognize it in somebody because they like it immediately, and they usually are back for more almost as soon as the prescription is done. And so that is a sign right away that there could be a genetic component to this, that their body is agreeable with the opioids, and they like it. Whereas other people feel sick, sleepy, they become nauseated, and these are not, and they don't crave it. And so these are the ones who are not genetically predisposed to it. Finally, in youth, there can be problems at home. And previous psychological issues going on. So sometimes from a fragmented family, some form of abuse at home, whether it being physical, neglect, or verbal abuse. There could be a whole host of issues at home, and this young person is more inclined to not have the defense mechanisms in place to say no. Especially if someone in the house is using. So if it's a parent or an older sibling, they're more likely to use in that situation. So to summarize, some people don't use drugs because they're just not genetically predisposed to it. Other people use because there's social pressures, peer pressure, want to fit in with the older kids. And other people can have psychological issues, stressors at home, and not necessarily like psychological illness, but psychological stressors, where they're not coping well in their environment. Something else is going on that's causing some sort of neglect or some form of stress on them, and they're more at risk to use again. Thank you.
We've helped over 1 million Americans completely recover from substance abuse. Call now at 1-800-615-1067. Call now.